Well, let's get into game 2 then. Let's hope this one's a little bit better from SK's point of view. OBE will be very happy because they're trying to climb up the standings to the best of their ability at the moment. And results elsewhere, with Dignitas losing today, gives them a wry sense of hope.
It does, and this is one of those games that you expect if OBE is going to be a top-tier contender, they're going to come in and put the foot down pretty quickly against SK. And game 1 certainly a good indicator of that so far. We'll see if they can continue that in game 2.
OBE will take away Giannis this game and Athena from SK. This time we saw the Chang'e bug and then we saw the Tough straight afterwards. Maybe we get the same rinse repeat? Could
be, but then OBE would just take Artemis again, and is that really what SK want to give up? It looks like that certainly is potential, but I wonder if OBE is going to prioritize the Chang'e in this spot. Maybe they'll have a game plan against it if they let it go through, but I can't imagine that SK is just going to pick Cerberus Rom again on this backside.
I still think Chang'e is one of those picks that, yes, he might be strong right now, but you have to wait for the window to pick him. Immediately first picking him here, when there's 3 picks available for the opposition, they could build a comp around making sure that Chang'e isn't going to do anything.
That's true, and I don't disagree with you there, but I think that it is still new enough again to the pro scene that maybe teams aren't ready to pull out the Isis, the Ymir, the things that are really good at countering it. So SK go for a different route here.
Isis, though, I mean, he might be good, but obviously not in the laning phase because they're not going to see each other, really.
Right.
You're not going to put Isis solo?
No, of course not. You really want to get that for the late game team fights. So just when he pops the ultimate, you drop Circle of Protection and just kind of wait.
Enough about Chang'e. He's not even on the board yet. It's Circuit and Artemis. So Faeles won't be able to play the Circuit this time round. Said that more than likely will go to CaptainTwig, and it's a Chang'e lock in this time round. Can be flexed towards the mid lane if required. Not something that a lot of people say is useful. Up against the Discordia, though, not terrible.
No, but I think that will be for Xaliea in that soul lane. And Ducky himself will go for the Chang'e. Not something that I think is necessary, but interesting to point out. We've seen, what, 3 Chang'e games today, or 4 rather, and every time it's been paired with Discordia in the middle lane. Something to keep an eye on. Getting that Discordia passive in lane can boost that damage numbers even higher, and Chang'e is great at getting that poke damage, so these two do pair pretty well.
Sometimes you are pretty smart.
Hey, thanks, man.
It's not often, but I'm glad you recognize that because it's a very interesting key. Hombat's taken out by OBE and Odin Raijin off the board. Obviously, the Odin very important to making sure poor old Chang'e doesn't get locked in, but not only him, Sylvanas too won't be happy about having to deal with that ring and a Mercury band to follow things up.
I like these 2 bands from OBE. These are the 2 premier gods for Faeles right now. They have the Circuit as well, which is something else that he likes to play. Now, I like SK waiting on Faeles' pick because there's no way that OBE is going to take another pick away from his god pool, and it gives him options to see what OBE is going to go for. But already he's a little bit further down the god pool than he'd like.
And definitely one of those gods that rises when Artemis is in play just because he's got a pretty good matchup in that laning phase with his CC immunity from the Devil's Fury. Can cause a lot of problems. Zeus juice for the mid lane though. He started to rise back into power, had a couple of buffs just lately, and good old PrettyPriMe going to go back to it.
He is, and it's paired with the Erlong Shen, and before when OBE played this combo was CaptainTwig on the Erlong Shen. This time, I think it could be support, but it is iRaffer, and he does like Circuit support. Could be a possibility here. I think either way, I like the Erlong Shen here, whether it's support or in the jungle, to give OBE a little bit more physical damage, to at least make SK respect that physical damage and hopefully incentivize them to build a little bit of that defense as opposed to just stacking the magical D against Chang'e and Zeus.
SK definitely have a really big wombo comp with that Darji locked in. Power out, pull them in, hit them with Discordia stuff, and then meanwhile ghosts are flying off everywhere. It's a very good teamfight composition.
It is.
If they can pull that off.
If they can pull it off. They've got plenty of things that cover a lot of area. The Shifting Sands, that Book of Demons, a lot of stuff that can catch you even if you aren't that close together, but it can't really do that well from behind. And that's what I'm worried about here from SK. The damage from Chang'e, if he's really far behind, not really that impactful. Discordia can feel the same way. Onher can feel the same way. Daji can feel the same way. Whereas Zeus damage, like, if Prime gets ahead here, this game's going to be tough for SK.
Do you reckon SK take it to a game 3?
I think it's kind of likely, but I'm not going to vote against PrettyPriMe Zeus. Like, I'm just not going to do it.
Can't vote against it. Let's get it over to the casters then to bring you game 2.
I'm with Ryan. Every time OBE has their back against the wall, although this isn't one of those times, they go Zeus, and then they win. When Prime gets Zeus, they win. It's not even aggro Zeus bias. It's just straight up Prime gets Zeus. Prime gets the win. We talked to CaptainTwig earlier. You guys saw it. Feed the Swede. When Prime's happy, Obey's happy. This is a good look for Obey.
When Prime is big, the rest of Obey is very big. And that's something to take note of because he likes his Vulcan a lot. That's more of his traditional thing. And going for the Zeus is kind of reminiscing back to the old Season 1 days. And it works out well against an all-in dive composition. Dodgy last pick selection here, interestingly enough, against the Zeus. A little spicy.
Predictions is what we ask you guys for in the chat. Who's going to win? Game 2, Game 3? That's our question. I'm leaving already, but I don't think this one's going to be as quick as game number 1. Let's head into Game 2, watching SK versus Obey.
Definitely think that Obey have an advantage with the picks and bans, considering the Chang'e selected for Xaliea. They're looking for an aggressive strategy. This is definitely popular among Splice in North America.
Yeah, they're looking for the invade. Lawbster and Faeles here. Now, the buff will spawn at 24 seconds. So Obey and Xaliea. iRaffer here as well. 3 members deep. Buff spawning
Lawbster.
in 3, 2, 1. Spotted. There's the pop. And the catch-up. Aegis is good. Looking for the body block. Body block is strong as well. Body block. Body bop! CaptainTwig starting off hot. That one's going to be a kill for Obey Alliance. Bop it.
Would you like to retract your statement saying that this game is not going to be as fast as the previous one?
No, actually. What was the previous one?
1959.
All right. I will bet you 500 gems that this is longer than 1959.
Not going to take that bet,
Yeah, that's
Tom.
what I thought. You worried about your gems.
No, because in game number 1, when you have a 0-0 record, it's very easy to surrender and go into game number 2. If you're already losing game number 1, you are not surrendering game number 2.
Yep, that's exactly.
So,
that's part of my decision making. Faeles unable to defend his speed here. CaptainTwig gets the invade.
Sprint was popped, but CaptainTwig has speed buff. You're not going to catch him, buddy.
Oh no!
Look at the little corgi.
Not only does he have the speed buff, Tully, but he has the katana level 1. Going to give him some movement speed as well there. So CaptainTwiggy understanding what's going on, going into Hinduman form there, and going to look strong.
I'm still like reminiscing about this dog that's following him the whole time. Look how cute it is. How can you be aggressive against an Erlang Shen with a doggo like that?
That is
not fair.
It is very adorable. I will say that. CaptainTwig on his Hindu man skin. Although Banter, Hindu man's doggy at home, is not a corgi, but still, I think Hindu man has the same haircut as this guy.
Probably. PrettyPriMe on the Zeus at level 3. Goes for a very interesting build that some mid-mages have opted for, where you go for the tier 2 boots into the tier 1 version of Lost Artifact. You're getting about 30 power total and 5 MP5, but more importantly, leaves you just enough remaining gold that your first back, you can easily finish off the boots, and with the penetration already for PrettyPriMe, whereas Lawbster has no mobility. I'm expecting a lot of aggression in the mid lane, collapsing on this Discordia.
And it's also just about getting best bang for your buck. Cooldown reduction is good for virtually every mage, but when it comes down to Zeus, one cycle of your abilities, if you don't kill, you probably die. There's very few worlds where you're sitting there looking for a second detonate in the early parts of the game.
True.
So 10% CDR on PrettyPriMe Zeus, he's decided is not worth it, would rather just invest in the boots.
Funballer looking for someone to impale, but he's the one that's going to get rooted. He jumps up and down trying to knock back CaptainTwig, but that eliminates any sort of advantage he had to look for the impale.
I like the up and down jump. It was a threat, right? If Obey decides to aggress onto the on her, well, his teammates are there, the knockup comes out, and that's when he can find the impale. Playing it more aggressive than that might have wound up in trading out another kill.
The thing is, after Obey Alliance strip away the red, they're coming towards the mid lane. They need to run away from the collapsing SK members underneath. Funballer doesn't even look for the impale. Ducky, though, in a 1v2.
Doesn't even look at the Erlang Shen. There's a little bit of damage. Only level 4. Not going to be able to double his protection just yet. CaptainTwig finding the basic attack damage. Faeles is here. Carded up his Twiggy. One more will do it. There's the swipe from Xaliea.
Oh,
Cut
Waxing
him
Moon!
down. And Waxing Moon sets up Xaliea. The double kill for the Battle Mage in the solo lane.
Just ending the life with a couple more Archer shots. CaptainTwig goes in the turtle form. He gets rooted. He gets pulled. He gets the heal off, and there's no more follow-up damage.
Really nice play from HalfDevil there, making sure to grab the enemy with the pull. unable to really find the follow-up damage was Lawbster, but HalfDevil with the right mindset, the right play there. I like to see that from HalfDevil.
Something we didn't even talk about at all is iRaffer playing the Serket again, getting a kill onto HalfDevil.
Nice.
Good ambush opportunities, Obey Alliance, thinking like predators, just waiting in the jungle for the prey to come to them, cutting the corners.
It's kind of funny. You're right. We haven't mentioned iRaffer on the support Serket. And part of that is kind of like when you see... I don't have a good example right now, but support Serket is odd, but for iRaffer, it's not all that strange.
It's very true. Being a former jungler himself, he has the mentality required to look for these jungle plays and even leading his team into some of these offensive play opportunities. It was his blink that helped body block Lawbster to enable that first blood.
Yeah, and right now, Serket, just a quick overview. It has been a couple of minutes since we've seen support Serket. Essentially, her passive lends it to percent damage, not based on power. Her ultimate is true damage, not based on power. And her first ability, Deathbane, is going to shred protections. So a lot of application there without being aggressive. Ultimate coming out from Funball, but ultimately, CaptainTwig going to find the kill. Nice crowd control coming out from Ataraxia with the trap. CaptainTwig cooking up a kill.
This was a similar story last game, except flipped, where Ataraxia got ganked from Faeles from that same exact angle. This time, Funballer didn't have his backside covered with a ward, and he ultimately falls to the Erlong Shen. CaptainTwig all over the map, sitting at 2-0-2, part of 4 of Obey's 5 kills.
Right now, 0 kills just yet for SK Gaming. And I'm sure they're thanking their lucky stars that they don't have to play too many more games against these high-end teams. SK have improved a little bit, but a little bit is just not been enough for them, Tully. I mean, where can SK go to improve? The split's over for them. How do they look towards the spring split and not get depressed?
They need to be consistently aware of their surroundings, because to me, it just seems like they're going through the motions currently. They positioned with 3 members or so. Hold that thought. The iRaffer goes in, but he gets countered with a nice pull from HalfDevil.
Oh my goodness. HalfDevil, clip that. That is a play. That was a beautiful play. You know what happens there? iRaffer gets a taunt into a zigzag, into an ultimate that sets Ataraxia up with a trap, into a just everything. That's a kill. If the instant pull reaction doesn't come out. HalfDevil right there with an MVP play.
Now, I'm not sure if that was HalfDevil reacting to iRaffer, or if iRaffer was too quick to react to HalfDevil's pull, thinking that he wanted to blink past the pull. Not sure. We need to find that clip and slow it down just for good measure, as a level 6 Serket, or Daji rather, trying to go on this level 8 Erlong Shen.
He's going to lock down Faeles. Faeles goes up with the Powwow. Pings coming out as the dual lane from SK Gaming, crossing the street. Jumping forward is iRaffer, looking to slow down Faeles. Beads on out of there, but the poison has been applied. SK Gaming retreat from the jungle.
Funballer making the rotation, allows Ataraxia on the left-hand side to get so much solo farm. 2-level advantage, and look where he's going. He's looking to cut off the rotation from Funballer to prevent him from getting that experience.
Not able to really catch up.
You got to play aggressive there. You know no one else is going to be there because they're all kind of collapsing from that former mid lane fight. That could have been an opportunity to at least force out a beads with a boar and a trap.
What I liked there from Funball was, so he pulls the purple buff into the corner.
Gets the experience on the tower, too.
But he gets the experience, but also he stops attacking the purple buff.
Expecting the steal.
Exactly. He knows that Ataraxia is going to toss the volley over the wall, so Funball just sits, gets attacked by the minions once or twice, the volley comes through, and then he impales and finishes it off, just reading, understanding the play, and high-level play. It's I get excited about the small little things.
Oh, there's a lot of little things going on in this game that allow Obey to have this 5-0 lead. Every member from SK Gaming has a single death right now, and it might be a second one for Ducky.
He's got to run away.
Waxing Moon maybe from Xaliea.
That was the poor choice. Looking for the blue buff. Might have spelled his death.
No, he actually got a little bit of a heal off, just necessary to top himself off.
Yeah.
Not wanting to commit was iRaffer without the last breath, but he definitely could have with the blink potentially.
That was low. Chang'e using the third ability lowers the amount of healing, so Ducky gets a heal, but just a little one.
Just a little one. instead of a big one, trying to make it happen from SK Gaming, going for a big Gold Fury.
Hot play here.
Satellite.
Up with the Paolo, using it for the vision and the damage. CaptainTwig shows up. Finish the Gold Fury.
Stolen!
Finish the Gold Fury. Oh, no. Obey just handed over. CaptainTwig getting out. SK Gaming. You can't do that.
No,
you can't do that.
That's a little unfortunate. They did take out the life of iRaffer, but Obey Alliance are screaming worth all the way to the bank, extending their lead to beyond 4,000 experience, 5,000 on the experience front. They can start easily grouping up for some of these team fights once Xaliea hits that level 12 marker.
That's a great call from SK Gaming, but somebody has to zone.
Well, the thing was, the zoning was the Paolo. That was the initial zone. You see the vision. He hit both members with the pull. It was actually very impressive. Doesn't pull both members, but applies the chains to force the instant reaction from Obey Alliance. But the rest of SK Gaming don't immediately reset the Gold Fury to go back onto Obey Alliance, because once Faeles comes back from the Paolo, he's still inside the circle.
Yeah. Unfortunate for SK Gaming. Frustrating. Frustrating to watch that go down, folks. 3,000 gold, almost 4,000 gold in the lead is Obey Alliance. And after a 10-minute Gold Fury, by the way, Obey Alliance find themselves up 4,000 gold. Had SK taken that Gold Fury, it would have cut the lead. 2,000 is a totally acceptable lead.
Absolutely.
And with the composition that SK Gaming have right now, the mid game would lend itself to be a spot where SK Gaming wants to get aggressive. Now 4,000 gold down. This is what winds up happening. PrettyPriMe turns around, detonates, and sends Faeles back to the Shadow Realm.
This is a last pick dodge into a Zeus on purpose. A questionable pick in its own right, because Zeus thrives off of anyone next to him. And surprisingly enough, PrettyPrime's so confident in his own abilities for burst damage and survivability that he doesn't care about cooldown reduction with that lost artifact. He went straight for the Rod of Tahuti just for that ultimate burst.
That's what I was saying is, as a Zeus, if you're looking for your second detonate, you're either way out of the team fight and looking to re-enter, or you're dead. Cooldown reduction is not a useless stat on Zeus, but you're much better going for the power. Rod of Tahuti in the second item position, only 200 gold more expensive than the Chronos pendant that you usually see picked up here. And again, knowing what Zeus does, looking to do damage and then execute essentially with the detonate, your player is going to be beneath that 50% threshold sometimes. And when they're not, I will take 150 power.
And especially when it's this early in the game, these tanks don't have that much health or protections. You're more than likely will find that target. In fact, every target will be under 50% health next to this level 12 Zeus. And
especially with the lead.
Yes, this kind of a lead has just been obnoxious. Now, whether or not PrettyPriMe does this in a deficit, that's a different story.
Pyromancer goes the way of Obey Alliance. SK Gaming not able to snatch that one away just yet. Obey Xaliea has a level above the enemy solo lane. iRaffer's here as well. The supports are Ket. And an interesting look from iRaffer, actually. The second item, Thebes. Now, this is, again, this is kind of how we didn't mention the supports are Ket because it's normal for iRaffer.
Sure.
Second item, Thebes, I think is normal for most supports, but it's
not iRaffer.
It's so abnormal for iRaffer. iRaffer usually buys Thebes last.
Fourth or fifth. It was really weird.
When they're sieging.
See, he's just different to be different, man. I just stopped trying to figure out his mindset, because that if you confuse analysts and casters, you're definitely confusing the opposition as well after a certain point. If you look at what he prioritizes in his leveling up abilities, sometimes when he's playing these Guardians, as a Sobek, for example, he'll put 2 levels in Pluck randomly, 2 points in his Tail Whip, 3 points in Sickening Strike.
He famously, in one of the energy victories at Worlds, put all of his Ymir points into Wall, and that won the game for the squad.
The Wall makes sense, very niche situations.
And that's, I think, the core of iRaffer being different. iRaffer traditionally buys these Gauntlet of Thieves last item because he travels the map a little bit more than some of his other Guardian counterparts, and the mentality with buying Thieves last item was that on the siege, when you're sieging, you're guaranteed to get those stacks for the minions. This time around, Raffer spending his time more so in lane, whether it's left or right, spending more time in the lane, and so he's looking for the Thieves stacks early and often.
In a little bit of trouble, gets taunted in, prevents it with the Apple of Discordia. It's actually spreading to Twig and Raffer.
Wow.
PrettyPriMe just cleaning up this level 10 Sylvanas with no magical defense.
Rod of Tahuti followed up by a Divine Ruin, nice and early. I like the early Divine Ruin against Ducky. Not going to be able to get off the ground. Chang'e just going to be neutered right away. Obey Alliance now starting a Gold Fury of their own. 14:45 on the clock. And 30% on the Gold Fury. Ain't nobody from SK showing up. 2 Gold Furies for Obey Alliance. And they're looking at a 6,000 gold lead.
Obey Alliance are 5 minutes away from how quickly that first game ended.
Yeah.
With SK Gaming ultimately surrendering, and things are not looking much prettier for the Chaos side of things. They can't find any sort of footing quite yet with any objectives, neutral camp or otherwise. Raffer zoning away Funballer, Ataraxia with a 2-level lead. Artemis, this late game Huntress, able to really pack a punch if left unchecked. Without any sort of depths, Ataraxia will pop off.
Yeah, that Rage, interesting first critical strike item. But with the way that Obey has been wrecking these team fights, it's certainly not a poor choice. Usually we see the Wind Demon come out for the first item, or the utility of the Poison Star even, especially with a character like Ataraxia on with the crit passive. But instead just doubling down and going, we are crushing it. I will get these kills. Let's continue.
Xaliea just going to deflect some of the poke onto Ducky, and with a cooldown reduction build out of Xaliea, you're going to be able to look for that poke every single time. CaptainTwig setting up a little bit of a bait. Nice little stun from Ducky. Going to prevent any sort of tier 2 tower dive shenanigans.
Bancrofts on Ducky. Not the Celestial Legion Helm or the Warlock Staff that we're used to seeing.
Nice pull from HalfDevil. But it's going to be more aggression from CaptainTwig on the backside, setting up his mid laner.
1, 2, looking for more is PrettyPriMe. Raffer on the backside. Raxia gets 1. 2 for the middle lane. 1 for the Hunter. Ducky about to fall down. Xaliea could grab him, but he's taken down first. Ducky with the basic as CaptainTwig.
Oh, the root is good. Raffer needs to get in there. He uses the ambush. Cobra's Kiss and Deathmay not good enough. Ducky cleaning up 2 under his own Phoenix.
That was a little bit silly. Raffer letting his lead play him there, but with an 8,000, 10,000 gold lead.
Raffer wouldn't do that play unless the root doesn't happen from CaptainTwig. Because that root happens, there's one more basic attack. It was a good juke from Ducky, preventing the damage from the ambush and allowing the kill. Now, you were talking about Bancroft's talent for Ducky, but that's what kept him alive in that team fight, getting the lifesteal and making his ghosts do more damage under his own tier 2 tower.
It's very interesting because when you talk about survivability, there's a lot of conversation about effective health. And that's the effective health is just a culmination of all of your defensive stats. Health is going to be very effective up until a point where it drops off and protections become more valuable, right? And then you have damage mitigation percent based. And then you also have lifesteal in this sort of odd way. Lifesteal is a very odd mitigation stat, but it is a mitigation stat nonetheless. What you're looking at is the survivability of Bancroft Talon versus the raw HP from Warlock Staff or the protections from Celestial Legion Helm. My issue with the Bancroft Talon here, while I understand it provides the mitigation in a positive way, he's anti-healed already. He gets no healing from the Bancroft Talon because of both Raffer, PrettyPriMe, Xaliea. All of these players have anti-heal in them, negating the Bancroft healing as a whole.
I agree with you in terms of the anti-healing, but it also puts the opposition in this weird limbo mode where it's like, oh, the Chang'e's at 25% health, we can kill him. And yes, even with Divine Ruin, even with the Chang'e heal, there's still going to be that little bit of extra healing from this item that'll help him survive. And maybe for some other Obey members out of position, such as Xaliea that got hit by all those ghosts, by the tier 2 tower.
When iRaffer went in.
When iRaffer went into the Phoenix as well. And a good, interesting point to make was even though Ducky died, which allowed for Obey to get themselves a Fire Giant, was how much damage he did by himself to those 3 members. Very low was Twig, iRaffer, less than 50% health even. If there's anyone else besides Ducky, SK Gaming can easily turn some of these team fights, and they're not really out of it if they just group up correctly.
Right now, it certainly seems like it, though. 11,000 gold in the lead, plus a Fire Giant buff.
It's rough stuff, definitely. But I'm telling you, the damage from Ducky in that one little encounter, if there's just a little bit of extra assistance towards the Chang'e, all that AoE damage, Obey have to play around that space control.
Look at that, 12-7. It's a ton of player damage from Chang'e.
Could be a collapse onto Xaliea, but he's going to go south. The rest of SK Gaming going to head towards the north, despite a couple members from Obey on the left-hand side. It doesn't seem that SK Gaming have the vision necessary. If SK see that there's 3 members on the left side, they have to go onto somebody. And look what iRaffer's doing all by his lonesome.
Yeah, just trying to pester SK Gaming, I think. Left side tower goes down nice and easy. Xaliea looking for red buff. iRaffer, again, just looking to pester SK Gaming. The more distraction, the more players he keeps over here, the less players are there looking at the Phoenix. I know it's very basic, totally, but that's all he's doing.
Ducky going in, uses the Aegis, gets hit by the Waxing Moon. Last breath will keep him in place. Up in the sky goes the Powwow, trying to find some pulls. Not going to connect. In the left side, Phoenix Bird has no more life.
I like the strife there. Nice play coming out from the mid lane Discordia. Lawbster having a decent game, 0-2-2. The best he could kind of hope for, in all honesty.
Really unfortunate that Ducky goes in by himself. HalfDevil not blinking to use any sort of follow-up. Good pull onto CaptainTwig, but that's a level 19 Erlang Shen right on you.
Oh, HalfDevil going to go down to the hand of CaptainTwig. Big damage coming out from PrettyPriMe as well. Mid lane Phoenix falling to the wayside. HalfDevil out for half a minute. Ducky up in about 5. Right side Phoenix to target. Obey Alliance, they're going to take down the bird, totally.
Very calculating, understanding that Ducky is due to respawn in a moment's notice. They don't have their 6th full item slot builds that they feel comfortable enough to go for the end. So they slow it down a smidge, try to set up for another ambush play as iRaffer.
And I like this, totally. I think a lot of fans or critics at home might sit there and go, this is SK, just push in. But Obey are a team that have struggled. And Obey are a team that have had some speed bumps along the way. And one of the things one of the things that's important when you're looking at a team that has previously had success but can't find it again, go back to the basics. Go back to the fundamentals. Play every game like you're playing against a top team. SK Gaming, could you have just marched in there and taken advantage of them? Probably, totally. But there is something to be said about Obey Alliance just reflecting and going back to basics.
You were asking me a question about 10 minutes ago about like what can SK Gaming do to further themselves in the future splits, and it's just being a little more aware. With how many members were by the speed buff from SK Gaming, no one really checked the outskirts whatsoever.
They just stood there.
At the beginning of the game, if you're not doing anything, every second counts. Any sort of intel you can gather is like, hey, listen, iRaffer's on my side of the lane. He's going to aggress, like something like that.
HalfDevil looking for the pull on Ataraxia. Gets it, but gets more than he wanted. Ataraxia with the last hit on the support, and CaptainTwig with the last hit on the mid lane mage. 3 players remaining to play defense for SK Gaming. Right side bird goes down. Obey biding their time, waiting for the minions, looking for the final push of the contest.
Lawbster still dead for 30 seconds. HalfDevil for about 22. It's a 5-on-3 advantage. Fire Giant not around Obey's waist, but plenty of sustain coming from this level 20 Chang'e from Xaliea.
Here's Ducky's setup, stun. The ultimate comes out. The ultimate goes down. PrettyPriMe cleans him up.
Oh, that board ping-ponging every which way, and there goes the Zeus ultimate from PrettyPriMe, cleaning up the Titan, cleaning up game number 2.
There goes the battle. There goes the set. Obey Alliance winds up on top with the support Circuit.
3 minutes and 16 seconds longer than the first game, still showing its stuff. Got you with the handshake.
You just shook my left hand?
Yeah.
I guess
gave me your left hand.
I guess
and I gave you.
I guess it's closer to the heart. Either way, longer match here. Short game 1, short game 2. SK Gaming unfortunately won't be able to find their first victory just yet. Still have to hope for one in the remainder of week number 5 and week 6.
It's very important for them to still keep finding their tempo. The way they aggressed in game number 2, being able to look for that invade, was very impressive stuff. Very unique strategy to Obey's identity with iRaffer, playing the blink circuit at level 1, being able to body block, allows CaptainTwig all the freedom in the world to control the pace of the game.
MVP is the question. Obey Alliance showed up looking pretty damn strong. They fed PrettyPriMe. PrettyPriMe did the thing. I mean, this is Obey, just cut and dry. Hopefully they can identify this and go forward.
Pen Boots, Rod of Tahuti, Divine Ruin. This Zeus was not to be stopped from Obey Alliance, and I'm expecting more of this kind of style from not only PrettyPriMe, but also some other mid-mages. That seems like a very efficient build. Not the Rod of Tahuti necessarily, that's more of a Zeus thing, but just the tier 1 lost artifact to eventually transition into the Chronos Pendant.
We've got a mid lane mage of our own to break down the build, and a Hindu man to break down the game at large. Let's talk to them right now.
You're the Hindu man.
I'm looking for that mid lane mage.
Hey, it's me. What's up, dude?
You are?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, here I am.
All right, break it down.
Zeus is really good at the game, especially whenever your jungle Erlong Shen gets off to a great start and gets to frontline and set up for you consistently. I think Erlong jungle is criminally underrated right now.
Yeah.
He brings damage, he brings CC, great early pressure.
Survivability.
He's so good, man. And this boots into Rod start is something that I wasn't a fan of when I first saw it, but I got a chance to do some testing on it, and I've really come around on that build for Zeus in particular. I think it can work for Discordia as well. But it's a little bit slow, but it's about getting your right power spike right before the first buff respawn. Then you get the Rod of Tahuti, and you just never run out of mana ever again, because 25 MP5 is silly.
Well, it looks like Zeus is going to get the MVP vote here. PrettyPriMe getting it just because he was playing Zeus, I guess, and the fans at home joining in on that too, right? I would have given it to CaptainTwig, who did way more in that game from my point of view.
All right, they both did a lot. Don't get me wrong. What did Twig do here, huh? Nothing. That's all Prime, baby.
Well, I mean, if a Dodgy's going to jump on a Zeus like that, I suppose exactly what's about to happen, right?
Pretty much. Now here is where Twig starts doing stuff. The taunts and just the detonate damage when you have Rod that early is just insane. 430 off of a tank is really, really high at that stage of the game.
So Obey looked good today, obviously. Like, this is the performance you'd expect them to put on, I guess, with how this went. But I guess it's time to talk more about SK. I mean, this is not working out well for them at all. It seems to be getting worse and worse as each week continues now from these boys.
Yeah, it was just a rough performance. I think that Faeles really struggled here today, and usually, look, any team that has a jungle that struggles is going to end up struggling during their game. It can really be difficult for you. But SK in particular really seems to go where Faeles goes, and when he has great games, SK can take games off the top end. That's what I was talking about earlier, where they still have that potential. When Faeles has games like this, where Twig gets way ahead of him in both games, SK is going to struggle, and that's just the way it is.
Let's take a little look back again at that Gold Fury steal we saw, and this is one of the reasons I think SK is struggling too. Their objective secure, they were indecisive about what they wanted to do here. Leash it, reset it. In the end, it's a calamity of issues that just allow Obey to sneak in and get it. Sure, they get a kill on iRaffer for his indiscretions, but then Turtle just wobbles away. Everyone's okay.
And we were just talking about the turtle animation, how it just kind of like floats along.
It's embarrassing when that happens. Like, just a turtle.
It's just like, and there he goes off into the sunset, and it's the turtle like wobbling their whole way out of there.
So look at the schedule for the rest of the week. Obviously, it's only Tuesday. We've still got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to come. Yes, I know the days of the week.
Proud of you.
And with that, we're going to go into Space Station Gaming versus Luminosity starting tomorrow. North America is what Wednesday is all about.
And Trifecta Splice to close out tomorrow is really, really critical. Those two teams tied in North America right now, and whoever wins that still alive for LAN. Whoever loses is on the out.
Well, here's the settings for you. Europe has been updated after today's performances, and you can see how low Dignitas have just fallen.
What? They're in 5th?
Well, it's based off game differential, Agron. If you, at the end of the day, if you're going to lose 2 O's to teams like Mouse, you're going to slip in the standings.
Wow, and Rival is really not guaranteed by any stretch to go to LAN. Obey still with a game in hand against them, and it is sitting at 4-3. Obey could easily make it. Even Mouse could make it at this point. Dignitas not out of it yet, but you can just tell that that's a team that whenever the things start to go against them, it hurts them mentally. And I think that being in 5th at this stage, week number 5 in Europe, I don't have a whole lot of hope for Dignitas now.
Now, if you've been tuning in, day out, you know the schedule is. But for the guys who haven't been around so much lately, this is how our summer's looking. Monday through Friday, we will broadcast you exciting Smite action every single weekday.
And it's Esports Weekly on Mondays as well. Don't forget about that. 10 a.m. nice and early on Monday. Kicks off the week nicely. Get your picks in. I don't think either of us predicted Mouse Sports over Dignitas. But,
no, we both took a loss there.
Both had Obey here.
Yeah, I would have gambled a lot of money on that game. Honestly, I probably would have put couple of G's down on Dignitas winning if I could.
G's meaning gems, right?
Yes. Gems. Speaking of gems, Loki's dead on July 4th. Congratulations for all of you Loki players that get the day off on Independence Day. You're independent of Loki for the day.
I'm happy about that. And see, this is actually kind of funny because Loki's like mad that he's out of the game, and so he's slashing gem prices. Because you see the daggers there, and like that's a term used for sales sometimes, like slashing. So Loki's slashing those gem prices. You get what you saw where I was going.
I got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Still can't believe you said it.